Do you believe you can hack your brain so that English seeps in naturally, as if you've lived in an English speaking country for ages? Welcome to Podcast English Story, where we don't just teach English, we unlock it with captivating stories and smart learning secrets you've never heard before. I'm Rose, and I'll be your companion on this journey to discover groundbreaking English learning methods that will help you progress faster and more effectively than ever before. If you've ever felt tired of dry traditional learning methods, if you're looking for a fresh, engaging, and truly results driven approach, then you've come to the right place. Podcast English Story isn't just your average podcast. We believe that storytelling is the most powerful key to opening the door to language. Each episode of our podcast will immerse you in a world of compelling narratives, from emotionally resonant short stories to relatable everyday communication scenarios. And what's special is that through these stories, you won't just learn vocabulary and grammar naturally, but you'll also grasp the culture, expressions, and mindset of native speakers. Have you ever wondered why some English learners progress so quickly while others struggle for years? The secret isn't about being smarter or having more time, but about smart learning methods. That's exactly what we'll decode and share with you in this video and throughout the episodes of Podcast English Story. In this special video, we're going to unveil the secrets of 10 smart English learning tips specifically designed for beginners. These tips won't just help you build a solid foundation, but will also optimize your learning process, helping you achieve progress faster than you ever thought possible. We won't waste your time with abstract theories. Instead, we'll provide concrete, easy to implement strategies that deliver clear results. You might be feeling overwhelmed by tons of grammar rules, thousands of vocabulary words to learn, and the anxiety of having to communicate. We understand that we've been there, and that's why Podcast English Story was created to bring you a more accessible, enjoyable, and effective path to learning English. Imagine being able to learn English as naturally as you learned your native language by listening to captivating stories and gradually absorbing the language. That's the learning philosophy that Podcast English Story follows. We believe that when you connect with the language on an emotional and experiential level, learning becomes much easier and more enjoyable. In upcoming podcast episodes, you'll be immersed in diverse stories about culture, people, and life, all told in English in a vivid and easy to understand way. We'll analyze the language used in the stories, helping you grasp vocabulary, grammar structures, and expressions naturally. You won't just learn English. You'll also discover fascinating things about the world around you. But before we go further, let's focus on the foundation. This video is your most important starting point. We're going to decode the core principles that will help you build a solid English foundation and set the stage for remarkable progress in the future. Are you ready to discover these secrets and begin your smart, fast, and exciting English learning journey with Podcast English Story? Stay tuned until the end of the video because these 10 golden tips will change the way you learn English forever. Don't miss a single moment because each tip is an important piece of your success story. Welcome to the podcast English Story community, where English is no longer a barrier, but a door waiting for you to explore. All right, everyone, welcome back. Now that we've ignited your curiosity about the smart way to learn English, it's time to dive deep into the 10 decoding tips that will help you as beginners make rapid progress. These aren't just surface level suggestions. They're strategic approaches designed to optimize your learning process. So get ready to unlock the secrets to faster English fluency, starting with our first smart tip. Tip 1: Attack vocabulary. Smartly, when you're starting your English journey, it's tempting to try and learn every single word you come across. However, a smarter approach is to focus your energy on the vocabulary that will give you the most immediate benefit. Think of it like this. If you're trying to build a house quickly, you wouldn't start by collecting every single type of nail imaginable. You'd focus on the essential ones needed for the basic structure. In English, these essential nails are the high-frequency words, the words that appear most often in everyday conversations, written texts, and yes, the very English podcasts you might be listening to. Research has shown that a relatively small core of words makes up a significant percentage of the language we use daily. By prioritizing these words, you'll quickly gain the ability to understand and express a wide range of ideas. Instead of randomly memorizing lists, seek out these high-frequency word lists specifically designed for beginners. You can easily find them online. Once you have a list, don't just learn the definition in isolation. The smart way to learn vocabulary is in context. Look at example sentences that show how the word is actually used. Pay attention to how it interacts with other words. This will not only help you understand its meaning, but also its nuances and how to use it correctly in your own speech and writing. A powerful technique for smart vocabulary acquisition is using spaced repetition systems, SRS. As we briefly mentioned before, tools like Anki and Memories are excellent for this. SRS algorithms present you with words at increasing intervals based on how well you remember them. This method leverages the way our brains naturally consolidate memories, making learning more efficient and long-lasting. Instead of cramming vocabulary right before a test, SRS ensures you revisit words at the optimal times to reinforce them in your long-term memory. This means you'll remember those key words when you're listening to an English podcast or trying to form a sentence. Another smart strategy is to learn vocabulary in chunks or collocations. Collocations are words that naturally go together in English like make a mistake, take a picture, or heavy rain. Learning these common pairings will make your English sound more natural and fluent, and it's a much more efficient way to learn than memorizing individual words and then trying to figure out how to combine them. Pay attention to collocations when you encounter new vocabulary in your reading or while listening to an English podcast. Finally, make your vocabulary learning active. Don't just passively review flashcards. Try to use the new words you learn in your own sentences, either spoken to yourself or written down. The more you actively engage with the vocabulary, the faster it will become a part of your working knowledge. Set realistic daily or weekly vocabulary goals and consistently strive to meet them. By focusing on high-frequency words, learning in context, utilizing SRS mastering collocations, and actively using new vocabulary, you'll be attacking vocabulary in a smart way and accelerating your progress. Now that we've armed ourselves with a smart strategy for vocabulary, let's move on to our second decoding tip, crucial for being understood quickly and confidently. Tip 2. Hack pronunciation. Listen actively. Imitate intelligently. Clear and accurate pronunciation is paramount for effective communication. You might know a lot of words, but if your pronunciation is difficult to understand, it can hinder your progress and lead to frustration. The smart way to tackle pronunciation isn't just about passively listening, it's about active listening and intelligent imitation. Start by actively engaging with reputable pronunciation resources. Websites like BBC Learning English and VOA Learning English offer excellent free materials that break down English sounds, demonstrate the correct mouth and tongue positions, and provide clear examples. Don't just listen. Watch how native speakers form the sounds. Pay attention to their mouth movements, tongue placement, and lip shapes. This visual input can significantly enhance your ability to reproduce the sounds accurately. The hacking part comes in with intelligent imitation or shadowing. This technique involves listening to a native speaker and trying to repeat what they say, simultaneously mimicking their pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm as closely as possible. Start with short phrases and gradually work your way up to longer sentences. Focus on capturing not just the individual sounds, but also the flow and stress patterns of the language. This active engagement trains your mouth muscles and your ear to recognize and reproduce authentic English pronunciation quickly. You can even use segments from English podcasts for shadowing practice. Utilize pronunciation apps that offer feedback on your speech. Many apps use voice recognition technology to analyze your pronunciation and highlight areas where you need improvement. This immediate feedback can be incredibly valuable for making rapid progress. Don't be afraid to experiment with different apps and find one that suits your learning style. Another smart approach is to break down words into their individual phonetic sounds. Phonemes. Learning the International Phonetic Alphabet IPA might seem daunting at first, but understanding these symbols can give you a deeper insight into how English words are actually pronounced. Many online dictionaries provide phonetic transcriptions, allowing you to see the precise sounds that make up a word. This knowledge can significantly speed up your ability to pronounce new words correctly. Record yourself speaking regularly and compare it to native speakers. This might feel a little uncomfortable initially, but it's a powerful way to identify areas where your pronunciation differs. Focus on specific sounds or words you're working on and try to match the native speaker's pronunciation as closely as possible. Finally, be strategic about the sounds you focus on first. Prioritize the sounds that are significantly different from your native language or those that often cause confusion for learners. Mastering these challenging sounds early on will give you a strong foundation and prevent the development of pronunciation habits that can be harder to correct later. By actively listening, intelligently imitating using technology for feedback, understanding phonetics, and focusing on challenging sounds, you'll be hacking your pronunciation and making rapid strides towards clear and confident communication. With a smart approach to vocabulary and pronunciation under our belts, let's move on to our third decoding tip, the key to building sentences quickly and effectively. Tip 3. Optimize grammar. Understand the essence. Don't just memorize grammar, can often feel like a complex maze for new English learners. The smart way to navigate this maze isn't by trying to memorize every single rule and exception. Instead, it's about understanding the fundamental principles and focusing on the grammar structures that are most crucial for basic communication. Think of it as learning the essential building blocks of sentences first. Instead of rote learning endless lists of rules, strive to understand the underlying logic and how grammar functions in real-world contexts. Learn grammar through specific examples and analyze how native speakers construct sentences in everyday situations, including those you might hear on an English podcast. Pay attention to the patterns and how different parts of speech, nouns, verbs, adjectives, etc. work together to convey meaning. Prioritize learning the most common and essential grammar structures first. For beginners, this typically includes mastering the simple present simple past and simple future tenses, as these allow you to talk about routines, past events, and future plans, all vital for basic communication. Focus on understanding how these tenses are formed and when they are used in different situations. Similarly, grasp the basics of subject-verb agreement, plural nouns articles, a and the, and basic sentence structures like subject, verb, object, SVO. The optimization comes in by not getting bogged down in overly complex or less frequent grammatical rules at the initial stages. You don't need to master all the perfect tenses or conditional clauses right away. Focus on building a solid foundation with the core structures that will allow you to express yourself clearly in most everyday situations. You can gradually expand your grammatical knowledge as you progress. Utilize interactive and application-oriented grammar exercises. Instead of just filling in blanks in a workbook, look for exercises that require you to create your own sentences or apply grammar rules in simulated conversations. This active application will help you internalize the rules more quickly and effectively. Look for patterns and shortcuts. Often grammatical rules have underlying logic that, once understood, can make them much easier to remember. For example, understanding the basic principles of verb conjugation can help you apply the rules to different verbs more efficiently. Finally, don't be afraid to make mistakes. As we've discussed, errors are a natural part of the learning process. The smart approach is to learn from your mistakes. When you make a grammatical error, try to understand why it was wrong and how to correct it. This active correction will help you avoid repeating the same mistakes in the future and accelerate your grammatical understanding. By focusing on the essential structures, understanding the underlying logic, using practical exercises, looking for patterns, and learning from your errors, you'll be optimizing your grammar learning and building sentences quickly and confidently. We've optimized our vocabulary and grammar, and we're hacking pronunciation. Now let's move on to our fourth smart tip, a way to rapidly improve your listening comprehension. Tip 4. Activate listening ability. Listen with purpose. Gradually increase difficulty. Passive listening, as we discussed earlier, is great for getting your ears accustomed to the sounds of English. But to truly activate your listening skills and make rapid progress, you need to engage in active listening with a purpose. This means consciously focusing on what you're hearing and actively trying to understand it. Start by listening to materials that are at your current level. Don't immediately jump into complex conversations or fast paced native speaker dialogues. Look for resources specifically designed for beginners, such as simplified news reports, children's stories, or beginner level English podcasts. These materials typically use simpler vocabulary and slower speech, making it easier for you to follow along. The activation comes in with listening with a specific goal in mind. Before you start listening, ask yourself, what am I trying to get out of this? Are you trying to understand the main idea? Are you trying to identify specific details? Are you focusing on recognizing certain vocabulary words or grammar structures? Having a clear purpose will help you focus your attention and make your listening practice more effective. As you listen, don't get discouraged if you don't understand every single word. Instead, focus on grasping the overall meaning and identifying key information. Try to guess the meaning of unfamiliar words from the context. You can also take notes while you listen, jotting down keywords, phrases, or ideas. Gradually increase the difficulty of the materials you listen to. As your comprehension improves, start challenging yourself with slightly more complex audio, such as intermediate level English podcasts or short news segments for English learners. This gradual progression will help you build your listening skills steadily and confidently. Use subtitles strategically. When you're watching videos or listening to audio with transcripts, don't rely on them constantly. Initially, you might use subtitles to help you understand the overall meaning. However, as you progress, try listening without subtitles and then re-watch or re-listen with subtitles to check your understanding. This active engagement with and without subtitles will significantly boost your comprehension. Engage with the audio multiple times. Don't just listen once and move on. Listen to the same audio clip several times, focusing on different aspects each time. The first time, try to get the main idea. The second time, focus on specific details. The third time, pay attention to vocabulary and grammar. This repeated exposure will deepen your understanding and help you pick up on nuances you might have missed initially. By listening actively with a purpose starting at your level, gradually increasing the difficulty using subtitles strategically, and engaging with audio multiple times, you'll be activating your listening skills and making rapid strides in your ability to understand spoken English, including your favorite English podcasts. We're actively listening, and now it's time for our fifth smart tip, a crucial step towards fluent communication. Tip 5. Practice reflex. Speaking, focus on communication. Don't fear mistakes. The fear of making mistakes is a common barrier for many English learners. However, the smart way to improve your speaking quickly is to shift your focus from perfection to communication and actively practice speaking, even if you feel you're going to make errors. Think of it like training for a sport. You need to practice the movements repeatedly to build muscle memory and improve your reflexes. Create opportunities to speak English regularly, even if they are just short bursts. Talk to yourself in English about your day. Describe what you're doing or narrate your thoughts. This private practice helps you get comfortable forming English sentences without the pressure of being judged. Focus on conveying your message rather than achieving perfect grammar or pronunciation right away. In real life conversations, the primary goal is to be understood. While accuracy is important in the long run, don't let the fear of making mistakes prevent you from speaking at all. The more you speak, the more natural and fluent you will become. Use simulated conversations to practice your speaking reflexes. Imagine different scenarios: ordering food at a restaurant, asking for directions, introducing yourself, and practice what you would say out loud. This mental and verbal rehearsal will help you respond more quickly and confidently in real situations. Actively seek out language exchange partners or tutors who are patient and encouraging. Platforms that connect language learners can provide a low-pressure environment to practice speaking with others. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Instead, view these interactions as opportunities to learn and receive feedback. Record yourself speaking and listen back. This can be a valuable tool for self-assessment. You might notice pronunciation errors or areas where your speech sounds hesitant. Use these recordings to identify areas for improvement and track your progress over time. Don't be afraid to use simple language at the beginning. You don't need to use complex vocabulary or intricate grammar structures to communicate effectively. Start with what you know and gradually incorporate new words and phrases as you become more comfortable. Engage with your favorite English podcasts actively by trying to summarize what you've heard or even responding to the speakers in English, even if it's just to yourself. This active engagement helps bridge the gap between listening and speaking. The reflex part of this tip comes from consistent practice. The more you actively try to speak, the quicker your brain will start to retrieve vocabulary and grammar structures when you need them. By focusing on communication over perfection, creating speaking opportunities, using simulated conversations, seeking out practice partners, and regularly evaluating your speech, you'll be training your speaking reflexes and making rapid progress towards fluent communication. We're actively speaking and improving our reflexes. Now let's move on to our sixth smart tip, a way to boost your reading comprehension efficiently. Tip 6: Speed reading comprehension. Practice skimming and scanning. Traditional reading often involves carefully reading every word. While this is important for detailed understanding, the smart way to improve your reading comprehension quickly also involves mastering the techniques of skimming and scanning. These skills allow you to extract information from texts efficiently without having to read every single word. This is particularly useful when dealing with longer articles or trying to quickly grasp the main idea. Skimming is the technique of reading quickly to get a general overview of the text. You might read the title headings, subheadings, the first and last sentences of paragraphs, and any bolded or italicized words. The goal of skimming is to understand the main topic and the overall structure of the text without getting bogged down in details. Practice skimming short articles or news reports to quickly grasp the main points. This skill will also help you decide if a particular text is relevant to your interests or learning goals. Scanning, on the other hand, is the technique of reading quickly to find specific information. You might be looking for a particular name date keyword or answer to a specific question. When scanning, your eyes move rapidly across the text, looking for the target information without necessarily reading the surrounding words. Practice scanning texts for specific details. For example, look for a particular date in a news article or a specific definition in a glossary. To hack your reading speed and comprehension, don't try to look up every single unfamiliar word when you're practicing skimming and scanning. Focus on understanding the main ideas and locating specific information. You can always go back and read more carefully later if needed. Choose reading materials that are at a slightly lower level than your current understanding when you're first practicing these techniques. This will allow you to focus on developing your skimming and scanning skills without being overly challenged by complex vocabulary or grammar. As you become more proficient, you can gradually increase the difficulty of the texts you work with. Practice these techniques regularly with different types of texts, such as news articles, blog posts, and even simple stories. The more you practice, the faster and more efficient you will become at extracting information quickly. Combine skimming and scanning with more detailed reading. Once you've skimmed a text to get the main idea and scanned for specific information, you can then go back and read the sections that are most relevant to you more carefully. This multi-stage approach allows you to manage your reading time effectively and maximize your comprehension. By mastering the smart reading techniques of skimming and scanning, you'll be able to process English texts more quickly and efficiently, allowing you to absorb information faster and accelerate your overall language learning. This will also make reading English podcast transcripts or related articles a much less daunting task. We're reading smarter, not harder. Now let's move on to our seventh smart tip, a key to making consistent progress without burning out. Tip 7. Turn learning into a habit. Utilize downtime. Learn anytime, anywhere. Consistency, as we've touched upon before, is crucial, but the smart way to achieve consistency is to integrate English learning seamlessly into your daily routine by capitalizing on those often wasted dead times and making learning accessible wherever you are. Think about those moments in your day when you're not actively engaged in something that requires your full attention. This could be your commute to work or school, waiting in line doing household chores, or even during short breaks throughout the day. These pockets of time are golden opportunities for short bursts of English learning. Leverage audio resources like English podcasts and audio lessons during your commute or while doing tasks that don't require intense concentration. Instead of listening to music or scrolling through social media, fill that time with English listening practice. Even if you only actively focus for a portion of that time, the repeated exposure will still benefit your understanding and pronunciation. Utilize mobile learning apps on your phone. There are countless apps designed for learning vocabulary, grammar, and even practicing listening and reading in short, digestible chunks. Keep these apps readily accessible and use them during short breaks throughout the day. Even just a few minutes of focused practice, several times a day, can add up to significant learning over time. Change small habits to incorporate English. For example, if you enjoy reading the news, try switching to an English news website or app for a few minutes each day. If you like watching videos, try watching short English videos with subtitles initially during your breaks. Label objects around your home or workplace with their English names. This simple visual reminder can help reinforce your vocabulary throughout the day. Every time you see the object, you'll see and subconsciously recall its English equivalent. Set small, achievable daily or weekly learning goals that can be easily integrated into your routine. Instead of aiming for a massive study session once a week, aim for 15-20 minutes of focused practice each day. This consistency is much more effective in the long run. Make it enjoyable and link it to things you already like doing. If you enjoy cooking, try following an English recipe. If you're a fan of a particular TV show, try watching short clips in English without subtitles. By associating English learning with enjoyable activities, you're more likely to stick with it. The smart aspect of this tip is about efficiency and integration. By strategically utilizing those often overlooked moments and making learning accessible through mobile devices and small habit changes, you can turn wasted time into valuable learning opportunities and make English learning a natural and consistent part of your daily life, leading to faster and more sustainable progress. We're making English a constant companion. Now let's move on to our eighth smart tip, a way to keep your learning engaging and effective. Tip 8. Learn according to interests. Create joy. Increase enthusiasm. Learning becomes significantly easier and more effective when you're genuinely interested and engaged in the material. The smart way to accelerate your English learning is to tap into your personal interests and hobbies and use them as a vehicle for language acquisition. Think about the things you enjoy doing in your free time. Do you love movies, music, sports, cooking, gaming, or reading about a particular subject? Chances are there's a wealth of English language content related to your interests. If you love movies and TV shows, watch them in English with subtitles initially, and gradually try watching without them. Pay attention to the vocabulary and expressions used in the context of the story and the characters' interactions. You'll be learning English while enjoying your favorite form of entertainment. If you're passionate about music, listen to English songs and actively try to understand the lyrics. You can find lyric videos online and even try translating the lyrics to deepen your comprehension. Singing along to English songs is also a fun way to improve your pronunciation and rhythm. If you're a sports fan, follow English language sports news podcasts or commentary. You'll learn specialized vocabulary related to your favorite sport while staying up to date with the latest happenings. If you enjoy cooking, try following English recipes online or watching English cooking shows. This is a practical way to learn vocabulary related to food and cooking instructions. If you're into gaming, try playing video games in English and interacting with other players in English. This immersive experience can be a fun and engaging way to learn new vocabulary and improve your communication skills. Read English blogs, articles, or books related to your hobbies. If you're interested in technology, read English tech blogs. If you enjoy travel, read English travel articles or blogs. Learning about topics you're already interested in will make the reading process much more enjoyable and motivating. The smart aspect of this tip is that you're learning English in a context that is personally meaningful to you. This increases your motivation, makes the learning process more enjoyable, and helps you retain new information more effectively because you're genuinely interested in the content. By actively seeking out English language resources related to your hobbies, you're turning leisure time into valuable learning opportunities and making the process of acquiring English feel less like a chore and more like a fun exploration. We're making learning fun and relevant. Now let's move on to our ninth smart tip, a way to accelerate your progress by learning from others. Tip 9. Find shortcuts. Learn from mistakes. Learn from experts. You don't have to reinvent the wheel when learning English. The smart way to progress quickly is to learn from the mistakes of others and glean insights from those who have already achieved fluency. This involves actively seeking feedback and learning from the experiences of more advanced learners and native speakers. Don't shy away from making mistakes. As we've emphasized before, errors are a natural part of the learning process. However, the smart learner doesn't just make mistakes and move on. They actively analyze their errors to understand why they occurred and how to avoid them in the future. If you receive feedback on your speaking or writing, pay close attention to the corrections and make a conscious effort to apply them. Actively seek feedback from native speakers or more proficient English speakers whenever possible. This could be through language exchange, partners, tutors, or online communities. Ask them to point out areas where you can improve your grammar pronunciation or word choice. While receiving feedback might feel a little vulnerable at times, it's an invaluable shortcut to improvement. Learn from the experiences of successful English learners. Look for interviews, blog posts, or videos where advanced learners share their tips and strategies. Pay attention to the methods they found most effective and see if you can adapt them to your own learning style. You might discover valuable insights into effective study habits, useful resources, or common pitfalls to avoid. Utilize resources that specifically address common mistakes made by English learners. Many websites and books focus on the typical errors that beginners make in grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. By being aware of these common pitfalls, you can proactively avoid them in your own learning. Join online forums or communities where learners discuss their challenges and solutions. You can learn a lot by reading about the difficulties other learners are facing and the strategies they've found helpful. You can also ask your own questions and benefit from the collective wisdom of the community. Find a mentor or study buddy who is more advanced in English than you. Interacting with someone who has already achieved a higher level of fluency can provide you with motivation, guidance, and a model to emulate. They can offer practical advice and share their personal learning journey. The smart aspect of this tip is about leveraging the knowledge and experience of others to accelerate your own progress. By actively learning from mistakes and seeking guidance from those who have already navigated the path to fluency, you can avoid unnecessary trial and error and find effective shortcuts to mastering English. We're learning from the best and avoiding common pitfalls. Now for our 10th and final smart tip, the key to staying on track and achieving your English goals. Tip 10. Measure and adjust. Track. Progress change. Flexibly. Learning any new skill, including English, requires self-awareness and the ability to adapt your approach based on what's working and what's not. The smart way to ensure continuous progress is to regularly track your progress and be flexible in adjusting your learning strategies as needed. Set specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound SMART goals for your English learning. Instead of vague goals like learn more English, set concrete objectives like learn 10 new vocabulary words this week or be able to understand a 5-minute English podcast episode by the end of the month. Measurable goals allow you to track your progress and see how far you've come. Keep a learning journal or log where you record your study activities, new vocabulary learned, and any challenges you encountered. Regularly reviewing your learning journal can help you identify patterns in your progress and areas where you might need to adjust your approach. Periodically assess your English skills using online quizzes, self-assessment tools, or even informal evaluations with a tutor or language exchange partner. This will give you a clearer picture of your strengths and weaknesses and help you focus your learning efforts more effectively. Be flexible and willing to change your learning methods if something isn't working. If you find that a particular study technique is boring or ineffective, don't be afraid to try something new. Experiment with different resources, apps, and learning activities to find what resonates best with your learning style and keeps you motivated. Track your progress towards your goals. Regularly review your SMART goals and assess whether you're on track to achieve them. If you're falling behind, analyze why and make adjustments to your study plan accordingly. Celebrate your milestones, no matter how small. Acknowledging your achievements will help you stay motivated and reinforce positive learning habits. Seek feedback regularly and use it to inform your learning adjustments. If a tutor or language exchange partner suggests a different approach or highlights an area where you need to improve, be open to their suggestions and incorporate them into your learning plan. The smart aspect of this final tip is about taking an active and analytical approach to your learning journey by regularly measuring your progress, identifying what's working and what's not, and being flexible in adapting your strategies. You'll be able to optimize your learning process and ensure continuous and efficient progress towards your English language goals. And there you have it. Everyone, 10 smart tips to decode English and accelerate your learning journey as beginners. Remember, learning a new language is a process of continuous discovery and adaptation. By applying these intelligent strategies, you'll be well on your way to unlocking the English language and achieving fluency faster and more effectively than you ever thought possible. Thank you for joining me on Podcast English Story today. I hope these smart learning tips have empowered you to approach your English studies with newfound confidence and efficiency. Don't forget to subscribe for more insightful episodes and share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. What are your favorite smart learning hacks? We'd love to hear from you. Keep learning smart, keep practicing, and I'll catch you in the next episode, right here on Podcast English Story. Until then, happy decoding.